Oh, there we go. We're getting a little bit of lag in there. How you guys doing? Welcome to today's show. Another week of very interesting things. And we got a guest. It's been quite a while since I had a guest on my show. And stay tuned after the guest. We're finished with him because I've got some exciting news with RealmsCon coming up next week, which I'm going to be covering live in the American Banking Center. Very interesting. And of course, with us today, we got Daniel Hall from the website danielhallpresents.com. He's an author, lecturer, and I think app maker. Okay, that's going to be coming up. Of course, we got Daniel Hall. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Stephen. I very much appreciate it.
And now, and actually, of course, right now, I went through all your videos. Of course, I've been doing a lot of video editing for you. And actually, I was very impressed with a lot of the videos you had on there. But before we actually go through that, could you tell me a little bit? I think you said you were a lawyer at one point, and then you kind of changed gears and you started doing books, lecturing, and all that exciting stuff. Could you tell us a little bit how you got started with that?
Oh, sure. Actually, I have believe it or not, a bachelor's degree in nursing and a registered nurse license. And you're right, I went to law school, and I also have a law license. So I still actually have both of those licenses. And about 2004, I wrote a book, and it became very, very successful. And I self-published that book, and from the experience of self-publishing the book and essentially launching it, I've built a pretty substantial training company where we train people, mostly authors and speakers, how to build their business, how to build a bigger platform themselves. And at the core of what I teach is how to develop and create as many different revenue streams as possible. So I love to create, as you correctly pointed out, things like software and apps and books and ebooks and web membership sites. So a lot of different things. I'm usually creating stuff that really kind of at the core of it helps people to build their business and live a more abundant life.
And we're going to kind of stop right there because we do have a clip, and I believe this is you. You're doing Action 4 News from where?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, because you've actually done quite a few, but we're going to take a look at that. That's kind of give you more. A little bit of background into some of your books that you've done, and we're going to show that now.
From across the Rio Grande Valley, covering stories that matter, this is Action 4 News Sunrise, now in widescreen.
Thank you, Victoria. We're talking about books today and publishing. If you've always had the ambition to write a book, didn't know how to get started, all your answers can be answered. We have Daniel Hall here to tell you how you can get started being a best-selling author, and it's kind of along the lines of a lot of new media where you don't have to wait around for somebody to let you do it. You can go out and do it yourself.
Exactly. It's direct access to the marketplace, and you let the marketplace decide. And the really cool thing is that every one of your viewers that has the ambition, the desire, can actually see their work in print and up for sale in worldwide distribution, and that is really, really exciting. And in fact, I brought along some books from some of my students, and one of the things that I want to focus on here is, like with this book, Texas-born author Pat Sloss with the Realistic Home Businesses. Much of this book was recorded and then transcribed, so it's not that you have to sit and tip-tap at your computer to get it out. The other thing that I want folks to understand is that if you're in college, that you could actually take some of your college papers and publish that to Kindle, like what we have here with The Dual Nature of Joel Chandler Harris's Uncle Remus's Tales. Okay, so it is direct access to that marketplace if people will access it.
Do you feel like that's where publishing is going, kind of along the lines of YouTube and maybe podcasting, where the internet was kind of like that for a while, and everyone thought, no, people are always going to have newspapers. People are always going to have books. Do you think that that might not be something where, books heading to iPads and Kindles and that sort of thing, that's going to even continue to grow?
Absolutely, and it's one of the largest growing segments of media today. Are not just regular books, but e-books and Kindle books and iPad books, etc. And really, as I say, the nice thing about it is that you, as an individual person, can have your stuff published, and that's pretty exciting, because there have been some real breakout people that would have never seen the light of day if they had to go to a traditional publishing house.
Right.
And they're just taking off.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
And you can monetize it too. That's the best part of it. So.
Absolutely. It's a huge part of it.
Daniel Hall will be sticking around this morning. We'll have much more on how to make some money doing it, possibly, even though it's not all about the money, is it?
Definitely not. It's about the message and monetizing
That's
the message.
Right. All right, Victoria, over to you.
And we're back here with Daniel Hall, author, lecturer, and all that interesting stuff. And now, of course, going on books. Now, I think you kind of focus more on the ebooks, Kindle, along those lines, I think, right?
I actually focus on anything that we can upload and sell in one form or another. So it doesn't have to be just an ebook. For example, print-on-demand books, courses, video, DVDs even, CDs. Yeah, we actually produce and publish many things like that. And not only for myself, but I train my students to do exactly the same.
Now, of course, I also looked at your video lecture, which is using public domain to get content for book ideas. And I thought that was actually a very excellent idea, because this kind of goes into what Hollywood movies and storybooks and so forth are doing. And because they can get it royalty free, they don't have to pay anybody for these ideas. They just add to it, or even use the original stories if they want to. Don't have to worry about getting sued or anything like that. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the biggest opportunities out there. And you're exactly right. It's kind of a super secret of the major media companies like Marvel Comics, like Disney, like Universal Studios. Essentially what they do is they find stories, they find public domain books and stories and music and even movies and music, and they actually use it, they change it up and use it in their own works. For example, the character Thor, right? It's a mythological character used in Marvel's case. They took every aspect of the public domain elements that are part of this character and used it very successfully in their own character. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's Pinocchio, there's Van Helsing, there's Dracula, there's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, there's Sherlock Holmes. There's just so much great content out there that folks can use completely free, okay? Completely free. You don't have to pay royalties on it. And the best thing I like about it is you don't have to ask anyone's permission to use it. And the library of public domain media is huge, literally millions and millions of volumes out there. And I have another huge tip for your audience, Stephen. Are you ready for it? It's a big one.
It's coming. One more thing.
Here it is. The fact of the matter is that in the United States of America, everything, or about 99% of everything that the U.S. federal government produces is automatically in the public domain, not even eligible for copyright. And think about this. They are the largest producers of content in the world. Okay? So you have that as an additional resource, okay? Just huge volumes of real, and that's the really nice thing about this as well, Stephen, is that most of the time, your public domain material is very high quality. It's well written, and if you're grabbing it from the government websites and like the government printing office, for example, most of the time it is written by highly credentialed PhDs that really know their stuff. Okay, ostensibly they know their stuff. At least they know their stuff well enough to get a PhD and be hired by the federal government at some sort of a high level. So it's a beautiful thing.
And also, what I kind of noticed as well, which was something I never thought about, but apparently you have, is audiobooks. And from what you talked about before, is that might be a newer market that people are not tapping into right now. But how does the current market for audiobooks look? Is it growing bigger, or can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this is a really great question that you ask. In fact, I have a training for this at realfastaudiobook.com, and one of the things that's really been a pretty new development with audiobooks is, until recently, and I'm talking about in the last year and a half, it used to be that you could not actually publish, or it'd be very difficult for an independent author or a self-published author to publish an audiobook. It was cost prohibitive. It cost probably $2,000 or $3,000 for an author to do that and actually get it up into the marketplaces that matter. Now, there's three big marketplaces for audiobooks. They are audible.com, amazon.com, and itunes.com. And previous to this new development that I'm about to tell you about, we really couldn't get our stuff into these marketplaces effectively, or cost effectively, I should say. But just recently, as I said, about a year and a half ago, a website, it's actually a parent of a parent, from Audible. So let's see, Amazon owns audible.com, and then audible.com started a website called ACX.com, or Audiobook Creation Exchange, ACX. And through ACX, you could actually upload your books in audiobook form and have them available, make them available on all of the major marketplaces, Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. And to speak to your question as to whether or not they're popular or not, well, let me just say this. I speak at a lot of events all over the world, really, many here in the United States. And I was at an event recently where a friend of mine, also speaking at this event, we all went out for dinner. Most of the time at these events, a lot of the speakers get together and they go out after the event. And I was talking to this other speaker, a friend of mine, and we were having this conversation, completely unrelated, okay? Completely unrelated to what, our topics were in our conference. And I was telling her that, based on the conversation we were having, that she would benefit from this particular book, that she should go buy this book. So she basically looks over her boyfriend and says, go buy this book. And he picks up her iPhone and he goes to Amazon and he buys the audiobook version of the book. Now, at the time, that sort of, that gave me cause for pause. I'm like, wow, I didn't say to get the audiobook, so I asked her about it, and I said, oh, I see that you just bought the audiobook version. Why did you just buy the audiobook version? And what she said, I think, is very telling of why audiobooks are so popular. Here's what she said. She says, I always will buy the audiobook first if it is available, because it is the only version that I know I will consume when I go to the gym or when I walk the dog or whatever. Now, that's the big point that I want everyone listening to understand about audiobooks. It's the only media that you could actually consume while engaged in something else, right? In some other activity. And we all we all want to be more productive. We all want to multitask to the extent we possibly can. So this is one of the reasons why audiobooks are hugely popular. And because ACX, to kind of wrap this up, because ACX recently allowed independent authors and publishers like you and I, right? It is now much easier to get our books so that they can be available, you see? And that is hugely driving the growth and popularity of this sector of media.
And also, let me see. Yeah, I was going to agree with you because audiobooks would be excellent. Just like you said, you're engaged in activities. A lot of people jogging on their spin cycles or whatever. Then obviously they want to. For me to exercise, I get bored. I mean, just running or stuff. I need something to keep my brain engaged. So audiobook actually would be a perfect use of this media.
Exactly.
And
I mean, I challenge you. I don't know when the last time your viewers or you or maybe you went to the gym 3 months ago. Maybe it was at 3 o'clock this afternoon. But I challenge you to recall all of the other people around you. What do they have stuffed in their ears? They have earbuds, right? About 80-90% of the people at a gym are listening to something. Now, of course, some of them are listening to music,
yeah.
Some of them are listening to podcasts, and still others are listening to audiobooks. But my point is that you're not even in the game, right? You don't even get to participate unless you've got an audiobook out there, right? So that's one of the reasons why I really, really encourage people that are interested in publishing their own stuff to not only publish a Kindle version of it and an iPad version of it, but also a physical hold in your hand next to your heart kind of book, which you could do with createspace.com, and also an audiobook, which you can do at acx.com.
And we're going to kind of stop right there because I've got one more clip to show you guys, and this is off of some of Daniel Hall's training, which you can look at danielhallpresents.com, one of many websites that he has out there, to give you an idea what kind of training that he does. And this is actually what we talked about a little bit earlier, which was using public domain to get a derivative. I can't say that word. Derivative.
Yes.
Content. There we go. I'm going to say that a little bit better. And we're going to show that right now.
To sell. Okay, so that's essentially what they are. So I wanted to start off by sort of giving you a few media giant examples here. Now, one of the big mythical heroes was a chap by the name of Thor. Okay, now Thor is of course in the public domain. He appears in many Norse sagas, and he always has the same. Well, I shouldn't say always, but essentially has the same elements about him, print-on-demand elements. And in our next little slide here, you'll see what I'm talking about. First off, he's always the Norse god of thunder. He's always the son of Odin. He wields a short-handled hammer, and his hammer can be thrown like a boomerang and has the power to throw lightning bolts. Okay, so that's what existed in the public domain. That's what exists in the public domain. But look what some of these media companies will do. They'll take a public domain work, essentially, and they will make it new. They will add their own value to it. And by the way, you're saying, well, so what? Well, here is the rub, folks. Do you see this movie made a lot of money? Okay, almost $449 million for the movie Thor. And here's another really important point. Whereas the the images of Thor and the public domain elements that we started with are still all in the public domain. The movie Thor, okay, is a derivative work and as such is copyrightable. Okay, so.
Okay, we're going to stop right there. Show you a little bit of clip of some of Daniel Hall's training. Now, was this a live lecture for this? I believe, or
That was a webinar.
oh,
and
wow,
yes, it was
excuse
done
me,
live.
webinar. Oh, okay. And that's basically how you do a lot of your training, or
I do a lot of my training that way. I'm starting to do a lot more hangouts as well. And as you know, Stephen, we are putting together essentially a web-based television show, and we'll be doing that live, much the same way we're doing this show live.
oh yeah, definitely. I was down there helping setting it up to obviously stream your training. Now, also, with, let me see what I get down here. Tell me some of the stuff. Now, I think you said you're working on some kind of app or book or something. You recently told me.
Yes, that is correct. Here's the thing, right? And this is one thing I want everyone to understand, that if you've got something good, right? If you've got a solution for the marketplace that you are serving, whatever marketplace that happens to be, then it is my belief, and it is one of the things that I preach big time, is to take that solution and embody it in as many different forms of solution as is possible. Because none of us, Stephen, or any of you watching, none of us know where our prospects are coming from, or what kind of device they want to use, what kind of devices they know how to use. Like, for example, some may want to download a book on Kindle. Okay, some may want to download a audiobook on their iPod. Others may want to download an app for their iPhone. You see? And my big thing here is to get my content in as many different formats as there are, and as new media and new platforms are created, I'm going to migrate my stuff there as well. And I believe that if you're a savvy business person, that you will do the same. And this is essentially what I teach and I preach with all of my trainings. So yes, we are doing apps, and the app that I actually uploaded today is one where I actually show folks how to take their iPad and actually publish or produce and publish a Kindle book. So that's what the app is about. I call it I Publish for Kindle, and I just uploaded it. And another example, and I think I was telling you about this a little earlier, or yesterday, I think it was, Stephen. I'm actually have a new app coming out in the newsstand. It's actually a new magazine called Selling Electrons Magazine for digital entrepreneurs. Again, it's yet another app, and it's another platform to disseminate my material. And I believe that you of course start slowly, and get a book out first, and then maybe move to an ebook, then move to an audio book, and then maybe to a membership site. But you take your core content, whatever it is that you're trying to make an impact with in your community, in the niche that you're trying to serve, and then you build it out. And that's what I'm doing with my app as well.
And yeah, I'm kind of interested in the app. I may take a look at it. Now, before you go, do you want to tell us of any other websites or how to contact you, Twitter or Facebook or something like that?
Sure. There's actually a couple different places to do that. The thing that I would strongly suggest, if you go to Daniel Hall Presents. Now, here's the thing: if you are somebody that is interested in building a business to about the $10,000 or more a month level, okay. Many people are interested in that. They could actually see themselves making $10,000 a month. So I actually have a free training that you can get if you go to danielhallpresents.com and look. I believe it's in the right. Or maybe no, it's the left-hand sidebar there. You'll see a little area. You put in your name and email address, and you will get that free training. That's a good way to hop on and become a subscriber, and you'll know about the stuff that I'm doing. And that's one way to contact me. The other way is via Facebook. I have a closed Facebook group. It's called Daniel Hall Tips, Announcements. And if you go to Facebook and just type in Daniel Hall Tips and Announcements, it will come up as a group, and you just have to ask to join that group, and I will let you in because it is a closed group. So those are the two best ways to have access to me.
And there you have it, Daniel Hall from danielhallpresents.com.
Thanks so much for having me, Stephen.